Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Man, guys, we've been talking about wellness, and I am just loving this discussion around Black wellness. And we've had some incredible business owners that are really, I think, are just shaking up the world with their products, and just letting us know that, being well for Black folks is still just as important. And they are really creating products, whether it's, hair products, baby products, you name it. We've been talking about it. And so I'm overjoyed because I just believe that it's not that we don't have these things don't exist. We just don't have enough. And we are just talking about that, that there are products out here. And I believe it's almost like a product, pretty much just about everything for us. I really do. I mean, you got to do some digging, but I do believe that there's a product. May not be enough, but it certainly is that one that I could say. So this next guest, guys, I've had some time before we started because I want to make sure I get her the name of her product name right, because I am fascinated by names, and you guys are going to hear about where she came up with this name. But certainly, I think it's important not only we bring, homage to the name of her product, but who she is. And so I'm excited to bring it's Oyin Handmade, which was co-founded by mistress Jamyla Bennu in 2001 after discovering that the products she was using were made with harmful preservatives and non-nourishing fillers. And so she was determined to find a solution to care for your hair and your skin. And so she experimented, created these formulations, and that's where her company and her business was developed into a business to help us. So I'm just loving, what her product stands for. And so I'm excited for her to tell us kind of, how long did it take? What's the origin behind it? And you all know why and she's going to tell us about why Black businesses matter. So hi, Jamyla, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much.
Yes. I'm sorry, Jamyla. I didn't mean to talk over you because I literally, I'm so excited. I'm over here on the edge of my seats because I want you to tell me, where'd you come up with this name?
The name Oyin is a Yoruba word, and I actually learned it as a little girl. My siblings and I all had Yoruba naming ceremonies when we were babies, and so the first one I remember was my younger brother's, and there was a song. I learned it in a song, and it was a song about honey representing everything that was sweet in life, sweetness, joyfulness, and delight. And so there was this beautiful song about Oyin, and it's always been my favorite word ever since then, ever since I was a little girl. It's actually pronounced Oyin, and I do not pronounce it correctly. I apologize to all of your Nigerian listeners for pronouncing it badly, but it is Oyin. And it's just, we use it because it's been my favorite word since forever, but also because honey itself is such an amazing ingredient for natural hair care. It's super moisture rich. It's super hydrating. It is actually naturally antimicrobial. It has a lot of benefits for the hair, for the scalp, and for the skin. And so it was kind of our first inspirational ingredient. And we loved the name and also the association with joy and delight. Just like in our own language, we say hey honey, right? Because it's an honorific, it's a way to call someone sweet, right? So I liked that connotation, and it's kind of been an inspiration to create products that are a delight to use, that bring kind of joy into those everyday acts of self-care that we all must perform.
Oh my gosh. I just, I was over here like this right here. I just got to know the origin. So now that you told me, I'm over here like, okay, am I going to be talking like Oyin? Oyin. Have you heard about Oyin? Because I love honey. So when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I love honey, like love, 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 love honey. So, and I feel the same way. I do. I absolutely think it is like the best thing that earth created. I really do. I love it. So to your point, you can eat it, you can put it on your, like you can just do so much with it. So I absolutely love that. So just knowing that history it certainly brings me joy right about now. So I want to talk to you, Jamyla. Who was Jamyla as a little girl? You talked a little bit from a family. I'm like, okay, so tell us a little bit about you as a little girl.
Oh, that's a fun question. I was a little pretty quiet, kind of nerdy bookworm of a kid. And I came from a family where our whole family was like kind of considered a little bit different in our community. We were like semi-vegetarian. We had natural hair. This is all at a time where neither of those things was either common or cool among Black people, let me tell you. So, but my parents, like, it's always been really important to them to have like natural and healthy foods. Like they used to belong to the Natural Foods Co-op before there was a Whole Foods, before there were any kind of health foods kind of available in the mainstream. My parents were part of kind of that early natural foods movement, and people who kind of thought it was very important to eat healthy and to create a life of wellness. I'm very thankful to them for setting us up with that foundation. They also were very creative people. And so I grew up in a house where it was kind of commonplace to just make anything you needed. Like I learned how to sew, and like my parents would like make toys or furniture and different things just around. It was a very creative household, and one in which creativity was not kind of a separate thing from life. It was very much incorporated into everyday life. So I grew up as a kid making a lot of things, being very crafty. I learned how to sew and make my own clothes very early. It's always been kind of second nature for me to make things. And that's another thing that I credit with the beginning of this company, because when I began looking for natural hair care products, it was, I couldn't find any. And so I made some.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, first of all, just your family, that you were like, creativity was just like a part of our life. It wasn't something separate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so powerful because, in this, and I'm saying modern day where, because whatever we are right now is like
Right.
creativity. You know what I mean? Because I don't know where we are in this world anymore. Sometimes I'm like, are we modern day? I don't know. But creativity is, we got to go get it. Like we got to go find it. We got to plan it. We got to go get an airline ticket. It's like, it's creativity is not part of your life. And I love that you grew up in a home where that was part of it. And I think it's just dope, to be able to have that and share that story. I think to me, I think it's certainly, is something that we don't see. And I love, and that's part of the reason why I love when we ask this, and so many people are just like, no, I didn't grow, the typical stereotypical stories we don't hear. I don't hear a lot of that. I mean, we hear these business owners. It's like, no, you know what I mean? We lived in 12 countries. Like, we don't hear those stories, and those are stories that exist. And so I want to talk, about your product. It is, and for you all that are listening, it is spelled Oyin, so that you all can kind of, for those of us that, kind of, once you say it, then we're kind of figuring out how to type it, write it, that kind of thing. But it is spelled Oyin. And Oyin, their product is cruelty-free, non-toxic. And so tell us, and we've talked to other people in this space and cruelty-free. And I'm asking you so that people can understand. I think we see these things on products. We don't really know what that means, right? So what's cruelty-free, non-toxic for your brand?
Well, cruelty-free pretty much across the industry refers to whether your product is animal tested or not. Some brands take it further about how ingredients are also sourced, but those are more about like ecological certifications in like how things are harvested, or then there's fair trade. Like there are so many different certifications that can align with different methods of sourcing or methods of formulation that are important to you. But yeah, cruelty-free specifically refers to animal testing, which is something that we've never done. We test on humans and each other.
Okay, that's good because I didn't know the difference. Okay, got it. So you test on humans, not animals. So, and if an animal can get hold to your product, could it kill them?
No, our products there's the non-toxic part. Like we
got it. See, that's what I want. Got it.
We use natural and food grade ingredients in our products, and there is a lot of human related reasons to do that. We believe in nutritional density. We don't use products that don't have kind of a nutritional or nourishing benefit. All of our ingredients have something to offer. In addition to like their styling or moisturization benefit, we also like to use kind of bioavailable and food grade oil so that in addition to like lubricating the hair, it's also going to nourish the hair. In addition to conditioning or cleansing the hair, it's also going to, strengthen or nourish from the inside out. We really are a fan of nutritional density. And I use that term because obviously it's a food related term, but it's basically the difference between a slice of like Wonder Bread or a slice of whole grain, bread with flax seeds in it, right? Like you're going to eat a slice of bread. You need something to hold your sandwich together. But you can use a bread that does not have as much nutrition in it, or you can use a nutritionally dense bread that has additional benefits such as flax seeds or fiber, or maybe some protein if it's full of ancient grains. You know what I mean? So that's the same idea behind how we choose ingredients for our products. We want to always choose ingredients as much as possible that have a benefit to the hair and the skin.
So tell me this, was this because you grew up in this home where you all made it? Was this also, and you said you guys were vegetarians or some of you are, I don't know. Is that how you live your life today?
It is. And I know it's not a normal term. I said semi-vegetarian. And I didn't mean all of us were, and some of us were not. I mean, all of us only ate fish and sometimes chicken. Like, so there were most of the meats we did not eat, but we were primarily vegetarian, but we did eat chicken and fish from now and then. So I can't quite claim vegetarianism, but I do, a very low meat kind of lifestyle.
And I think, and let me ask you this, and you say this from that standpoint. I think that's the problem. We title ourselves, and that's what gets us in trouble, where it's like, hey, we just eat vegetables and sometimes some chicken. Like, it doesn't need a title, right? But you're like, but I do like the semi-vegetarian. I think that's a term we could use, Jamyla. I think we could term that the semi. And I'm only saying that, Jamyla, because that's me. Like sometimes I eat. So that's why I'm stealing it, because I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's what I need to use, because I don't eat chicken, beef, pork, but I will eat lamb. I do eat seafood. So every now and again, I just want some lamb and I'll eat it. So yeah. So, hey, you heard it first, guys.
We just coined a new term, y'all.
We just coined a whole new term. I love it. And here's the thing.
It's about making mindful choices,
yes,
like mindful nutritional choices, thinking about your health. And I align with an identity of semi-vegetarianism because, again, when I was growing up, it was eating this way was kind of unheard of. You know what I mean? Being a pescatarian was like, people were like, huh? You don't eat hamburgers. What do you eat? You don't eat bacon. That doesn't make sense. You know, like there was just such people didn't understand it, didn't get it. It was like wildly out of the ordinary, right? And so that's why, yes, even though I still do eat the way that I was raised, but that is now 100% a mainstream way to eat. But it's just, yeah, let's call it something so that we can find our tribe.
I think we can find our tribe. I think it's a bunch of us out here too that's like taking a funk, and we're like, I don't want to be a pescatarian. I'm not a fresh. Can I just be semi? Like like on Saturdays, I do. Like on Saturdays, that's what I'm gonna eat. Like, but on Monday and Tuesdays, I'm like, no, I'm good. So I think that, and I think that's the part that I think is teaching us all that, and I think you said is just making choices, right? Making these conscious choices, but hey, but I can still have a piece of chicken, and so don't kick me out the club. Because I think that's the other thing. It's like when you say that, it's like, well, you gotta get kicked out the club. You're not, you're not a real vegan. You're not a real vegetarian. So I certainly think that that's a whole thing too, right? Because they'll kick us out of the club because we not all the way from there. So, and I love that you put cruelty-free, non-toxic, and made with eco-friendly sensibilities. Can you just elaborate on that eco-friendly sensibilities for those of us, who just don't know?
Oh, sure. Well, one of the first kind of eco-friendly decisions we made probably more than 10 years ago was to order large sizes. We call them like refill or like larger size packaging for some of our products, like our shampoos and conditioners. Even our lotions and our leave-ins are all available in 1 liter stock up or refill packaging. And for us, it's because we did the calculation. Like if someone really loves this product, let's say they love our juices and berries herbal hair mist, then if they want to keep it in their house, they're going to have to buy one every month or two, right? Which adds up to a lot of those little 8-ounce bottles. Whereas if we could sell it in a refill and they can just buy 1 liter bottle, then the math of it turns out to be about 65% less plastic over time if they buy a refill and then they refill their single 8-ounce bottle. Over the pandemic, in part spurred on by supply chain issues that we were running into with our packaging, like many personal care product manufacturers, we shifted again to put all of our pourable liquid refills into pouch packaging with a spout, which moved our plastic savings up from 64% less plastic to 85% less plastic, because those pouches, which are still recyclable, will also use less plastic even than our 1 liter bottles. So we're, and another one that we do, which is eco-friendly and also kind of pocket friendly, is we offer trial and travel sizes because, as someone who came up in the very early parts of the natural hair movement, like we know, and any person who's trying to figure out their hair and their hair care is going to try a lot of things. So you may try something, it may or may not work. It may not be a fit for your hair. You may not like the way it smells. Like there's so many factors, right? We wanted to give people an easy way to try something out, or an easy way to travel with our goodies, both of which are very pocket friendly, and let people get, especially as a brand that was born online. We've been online in e-commerce since 2003. And so offering the sample sizes are a way that people were able to, with a lower initial outlay, give our products a try, and then they can buy larger ones or refills of those products that they know they just can't live without. And we've got plenty of those products, of course, that you cannot live without. But we wanted to make sure that that we were selling to people who really loved it. We don't want to get everyone's dollars and then they got 2 things they love and 5 things that they're like, oh, but this one didn't quite work for me. Try it out inexpensively, try it out with a small amount. Then over time, that also is eco-friendly because you're not having to waste products that you're not going to be able to use.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It makes so much sense. Like It makes so much sense because, the pouches, I was telling a friend of mine, like the idea of the pouches over the water bottles, I'm starting to love because I just think it's, I don't know, for me, the water bottles, it's like, I want it to be lighter. It's kind of bulky. The pouch can just, so I love that you guys are kind of moving in that and being very eco-friendly and kind, um to your customers. And I've been wanting, because I've been seeing like the trial side, and I like that. Like, I'll get it just to try it. And I love that your rationale behind that, and really saving, the environment at the same time. So I absolutely, I love that. I absolutely love the strategy behind that and just making a sense. And so for your price, so based on your, and I see that you all also sell to men too, right? So this isn't just for women, it's men, um, from that standpoint, which I think is cool. How, from your men's side, I mean, what's their, because, I don't think that there is enough men product, skin, like they want to feel the same things we feel. And so what, from your male community, have you seen as a trend for them?
That's a really good question, and that's we do have our entire line is unisex and family friendly. Like, we don't have a separate line for kids and a separate line for women and a separate line for men necessarily. We have a unisex and family friendly line. I am a parent, and our kids have used our products since birth. Like, they're all, that's the benefit of having, gentle formulas and natural ingredients, is that they're also safe for kids. But we do have a beard care line as well, which is specifically targeted to people with beards, right? And or short hair. And so for those, we have a boost of skin and scalp friendly ingredients, as well as like a number of formulas that are sprays or that are thinner, so that they're there's they're easier. They kind of have like a, what's the word, like a quicker dry off, kind of, for if you have a shorter hair or a beard, you don't need as much detangling power, but you actually, since the product is going next to your face, everything in it has to be skin friendly for your facial care. So for your facial skin. So they are more lightly scented, and they have things like tea tree oil and additional in scalp and skin friendly ingredients to keep your skin healthy under your beard.
And I
And
think,
in one of the trends, I'm sorry, just if I could real quick, because I just remembered that you asked me about trends. One of the initial trends that made us start this line was us hearing from our customers that everyone's male partners or teenage sons was stealing all their Oyin products. So that's what really made us really try to create a line specifically for people with shorter hair and beards, was because we realized that until we kind of shifted our communication to make it clear this was a unisex line, a lot of times men and boys wouldn't buy their own products, or they would just steal it from their partners. And that was the trend we discovered that made it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally can see that, because the reason why I asked that question was because oftentimes that's what happens. Like, it's like, I don't want to smell like you. Okay. But I'm seeing like sunglasses are unisex now. Perfumes are unisex now. So I feel like, people are being a little bit more intentional with what they're coming in, but some things, can be unisex. So I think I love that you got feedback from your customers. Your customers was like this, but I also think that that's important, because oftentimes, and also let me say this, your packaging is not, it's not super feminine, right? It's kind of, to me, it's very unisex friendly. So it doesn't scream, you know what I mean, mango apricot all
Right.
day, right? It
Right.
screams,
Right.
you know what I mean? It screams that. And I think that you've done a great job from that standpoint, because, and so I can see how men can respond. Like, this looks like something I can put on, right? It doesn't look like this is just for her, because I think that's the other piece of it, is that, and not to bring up the Victoria's Secrets of the world, but I have to, because it's important. Like when you saw it, you knew, you knew that was a girl. You knew a girl was there. You knew, it smelled like that. And it left, you know what I mean? It smelled like that. It looked like this. You knew that it was that, but to know that you can have, a fragrance that doesn't speak to the man or to the woman. I just think it's powerful, because there were brands out there that did that, and they did it so much that it became like, oh, you got that Victoria's Secret apricot fragrance. You knew that. So I think I don't know. I just think it's helpful, because when you put on, baby oil, not that I'm using that, you didn't have this scent, but you felt fresh. You felt this, right? But people didn't come up to you and be like, oh, you got that baby oil on? You know what I mean? So it was that in the sense of, you know what I mean? Of that. And baby oil was for all people, right? It was for men, women, etc. So I'm excited. So I want to talk through, from the business standpoint, that you have a flagship store in Baltimore, and you of course have the website. But is there something different in the store that, the online customers just don't get?
So we actually are in a transitional moment with our store. We had a flagship store in Baltimore for over 12 years. And unfortunately, we closed it down during the pandemic, in part because, right? Okay. So, but exactly. It was because of the pandemic, but also because we were at the time in the midst of build out for to move our factory, right? So there were a lot of things going on, and right now we are in the new factory and have not yet opened up our retail presence. So that's why I'm saying we're still kind of like in the middle of things. It's also an interesting moment to be considering a brick and mortar presence. Even during the 12 years, for most of that time, we were a Saturdays only boutique. And that was kind of grandfathered in from when it was just my husband and myself we were our only staff. And so we were doing e-commerce all week long, and Saturday was our only free day. So that was the only day we opened up the store. And it was kind of like appointment shopping. We would go there, we open up, we bring our kid in the pack and play, and we would hang out. Our customers would come through. We communicate with them primarily via like email and stuff. And that was just where we'd spend our Saturdays, and our community would come through. It was a lot of fun, but it also was pretty low impact in terms of how much of a presence we had physically in the physical world. It was still just one day a week for most of those 12 years. And so looking now at the idea of opening up a brick and mortar, again, as a company whose primary means of distribution is DTC eCommerce, as well as independent retailer relationships. It's we're really trying to step carefully into and not like rush in, like let's open up the store because we're here, because that is because it still doesn't. It's a store doesn't run itself, even if it's in the factory, right? Everyone who's working in our factory is working in the factory. And so we would still need to hire retail staff and create in-town marketing and things. And we're just trying to, because we just finished a huge capital project and a big move, we were just trying to take it slow before opening up, and just really be mindful. Again, there's that word, be mindful about the choices that we make. So in our retail store currently, we're about to start a season of monthly pop-ups that are going to be going on over the summer. The last one we did was at Small Business Saturday, but we're going to do another one in June, and probably monthly throughout the while the weather is warm. So that we can still connect and again, think about it in terms of throwing events. We like the idea of having workshops. We have a lovely test kitchen there, so we can potentially do workshops. We have invited a couple of youth groups through to do factory tours and hands-on maker workshops. And that's a really exciting, different kind of way to have community impact and to connect to our local community, because there are other ways other than retail that we can do that, and we've really been exploring those ways.
I love it. I mean, I love that you gave us the whole story because I think it's important for business to understand, of making those thoughtful choices on what makes sense for the business, right? Because you're building out this factory and then you build out this retail, but then, you know, you get so many bad customers, it impacts your factory. So it definitely, I think, makes sense. But I also say that, and we say this even in our business, is that nowadays having an omni approach to your business, right? You have online, but you're going to do some pop-ups, right? That doesn't have to be every day, but I think it creates a sense of community, but it also creates, to me, this whole exclusive access that we all love and appreciate. It's only going to be here for a minute. Like, let's go run in there and pick, and pack up, and go get your products so you don't have to wait, for them to be shipped. So I do think that it's helping us all, for those that don't have the traditional brick and mortar but are creative. I think it's helping us as customers and as business owners to really be intentional, right? I know that I might be running out, so let me go on and just go on and do it. I'm going to have to buy it and I don't have to pay a shipping cost, right? So everybody wins. The customer wins, the business wins, right? And so I think we could take that from COVID and we say that just having this omni approach. And I love how you've, mastered, we got this factory, but we're still going to be doing this. I think it's important. I brought up the flagship because it was here and I said, because I need for people to understand while people are online and they have flagships, we have to support both, right? We have to find ways to support because ultimately we need community, right? I'm sure when your customers come and they talk to you, that's way more, it has more value than that purchase. Like, I didn't get my stuff or whatever. But when you can talk to the person, it's so much more valuable. Would you say
Oh,
that?
absolutely. Absolutely. You get to create connections. And that's really one of the things that we loved most about having the storefront for as long as we did, is it was at that point we had already been, gosh, we opened it up in 2009 but we had been online for 6 years at that point. But it was the first time that we had ever gotten to like meet and have conversations with our customers. It was amazing. It was amazing. And like you said, it is about kind of building community and also creating an experience, right? I heard, I don't remember where I heard or read this, but somebody said a small business is about the experience, and then what they buy is just the souvenir of the experience, right? Like, 'cause when you're shopping locally, like it's really about connecting with that entrepreneur and connecting with your community.
It's amazing that we have this new collective, and I'm thinking the Black Beauty Collective, and perhaps it might be something when you want to come to, they feature a lot of Black products, beauty products, and it's a collective, and I'll tell you something, I haven't been, so let me, full disclosure. However, do you know why I haven't been? It's because that's not a spot that I want to run into Walgreens. I want to go there and spend time. And I think that's the difference. When we go into those, it's time. Yes, they may have my favorite product and I'm running in to get that. But when it is something that is from a community, you might meet a new person in there, right? You want to sit and talk and hear about like, it's no longer, and so we love convenience stores, right? Walgreens, CVS, we love them. And so those are the ones that we go and we like, okay, I ran out of my shampoo. I just got to go run it. Yes, we still need those. But the idea of when we get to have that community, it's a thought, right? It's well thought out. You know what I mean? It's not that. So I think that's the other part, right? So um, I want to now, let people know, guys, you guys are hearing from Jamyla, the founder, and I want her to share her website, her handles, because as you guys are listening, I know you guys are like, I want to check her out. Beautiful website, guys, beautiful platform. It's just absolutely gorgeous and refreshing. I'm screaming over here like, okay. I'm feeling real spring. I'm feeling real summer, but it just springs vibrance. And so I want you to just share with our listeners how they can connect with you.
Oh, thank you, first of all, so much for those kind words. That makes my nerdy heart smile. We we are at oyinhandmade.com. That's OYIN Handmade, handmade like made by hand, not the handmaid's tale. And then we are at that same handle all over social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And what else? There's where else can you find us? And we are
Yes,
at
in Whole
Whole Foods
Foods.
Markets.
You're in Whole
Yeah,
Foods.
here in the Mid-Atlantic. We're regionally in Whole Foods, so in the Mid-Atlantic region. And then, but we on our website, we do have a store locator, and there are a number of independent retailers nationwide who sell our products. So check out and see if we're at a spot near you. And if not, we're happy to ship. We've been in e-commerce since 2003. We do it really well.
I mean, and I love that you said that you are. And can you share with the folks that you were once in Target, right?
We were, yes. We spent about 5 years in Target in mass retail in general. We did a couple years in Sally Beauty, a couple years in Rite Aid. It didn't ultimately prove a fit for our brand. We're really happy to be back to DTC and e-commerce. It's just a better fit for just, marrying the convenience with the cost of the distribution channel, frankly. We really strive to be an affordable luxury brand. And although we haven't changed our prices in about 8 years and very much need to, because as everyone's costs have been going up, so has ours. This is a business podcast, so like our cost of goods has gone up like 30% over the past 3 years. So it is definitely time to change our pricing. But all that is to say, even still, we're going to be seeking to remain an affordable luxury price point. But what we put into our products, like kind of the density and the richness of our formulas, it was not a good match for kind of competing in mass retail, where the biggest competition is on price. Like, we can't bring our prices down to be competitive at some of these shelves where they're emphasizing discounts as their primary means of marketing, because our products are already like bare bones in their pricing. Yeah.
Wow. And Jamyla, I'm so glad that, first of all, congratulations. I'm going to start off there. And secondly, I want to say the other part is congratulations on being aware that Target wasn't a good fit. And I think sometimes we run to those, retail giants, and that's our sense of like fame, right? Or that's and it's okay, good or bad, but to know that just didn't work for us. And so I think it is powerful that you're okay with saying that. Like, you're very okay with saying that. Because I think as business owners, it's like, right? Oh,
Look,
Target didn't work out. What? I mean, but
look.
to say that it just didn't work for you, I think
Mhm.
that's powerful because, Target doesn't make your brand. You make the brand. And I think
Come on
that's
now.
really make that
Absolutely.
big. Target
Absolutely.
is just another sales engine, right? That
Mhm.
people can purchase from convenience, right? And so I think we misunderstand that in itself, that it's a law of reciprocity. You got to win and they have to win. And so I think that's important from there. So kudos to you in that
You.
sense. Kudos.
I love telling the story because, like you said, there is a big perception that, certain things or certain markers or events or channels or whatever are kind of like, ooh, when I get XYZ, I'll have made it or something. And we, again, we've been in business this is our 20th year. We've been through so many different kinds of experiments, and there pivots, and we've tried things and things that didn't work. Like, of course, as a business owner, you want everything you try to work, but we all know that there's going to be varying results based on different things. It's not something that you can take personally or that you can wrap your identity around. And also, I think it's really important for us to define success on our own terms. I very much define success as still being here.
That's a word. Still being here. That's success. Still being here. Yes, I agree. Totally. still being here, that's success. I agree.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that that's the stories that we need to, continue. And so, I want to ask you this because, this is why we're here is why do Black businesses matter?
There's so many reasons. I think that Black businesses can be a site of liberation for Black people, and I think I'm speaking kind of Black people as individuals or as family units or as businesses. It can be a site of liberation, both like personally and economically. I don't think that capitalism holds the answer for our ultimate liberation as a group or as a people, but especially because our history in this country is so closely linked with commodification and capitalism and extraction and plunder and horror, right? So, and I have a social sciences and philosophical background, so like I can't kind of speak about almost anything without kind of wanting to link it to our historical experiences, to our interpersonal experiences, and to our intergenerational experiences. And so, that being said, it is a historical fact that our independent businesses have been places where Black people have been able to achieve pockets of freedom, pockets of access, pockets of luxury, pockets of interpersonal care and collective care that have carried us forward. They have been some of the institutions that have carried us through and that have enabled us to have moments of respite with each other. I think they're incredibly important and continue even to this day to be incredibly important because they give you a respite from, the need to kind of perform externally in order to make your livelihood. So that's what I mean when I say it's a site of liberation for my partner and myself. Like when we created this business, we've been working hard. I'm taught like we spent 10 years on 12-hour days, like 12 to 18-hour days. Like it's just nuts how hard we've worked. And every minute of it was spent kind of investing in our own freedom. And we never felt like it was too much. It was just it was the cost that we were paying to be able to work together, to be able to support our family, to be able to, have choice in terms of where we lived and where we moved. Like when we decided to move from New York to Baltimore, for example, we didn't have to worry about would we be able to find jobs when we got there because we brought our job with us. It was in our basement and then we moved it to a different basement. That is a kind of an unquantifiable little piece of freedom that we were able to create and then carry with us. So that's
that's when I say this is that you just gave us light to I think the brevity of the freedom. And I just love it, the way that you articulated that. Like we just moved our basement. Like that's powerful. And people don't understand that. And like you can say, yep, we got a business. We can pack up this garage and go anywhere, So I love that. So tell me this, Jamyla, what brings you joy?
A wonderful question. So personally, I find a lot of joy in nature. I find a lot of joy in movement, like dance, yoga. I find joy in being warm and sunshine. But I've also been listening to this podcast called The Joy RX. It is amazing. And these two women, one of them is a psychologist and one of them is an educator. And they really spend time excavating like the different principles that we can align to in order to find joy in our everyday life. And again, like it's part of my brand, part of the meaning of the brand is to bring joy to the everyday aspects. But it really was helpful to me to listen to this podcast and how specific and articulate they are about the mechanisms through which you can do that in your everyday life. I highly recommend it. And I like the idea of having a joy practice, yeah.
Oh, wow. I think, we asked that question to every guest, and we did it because it was a guest that I had, and we haven't been like Black joy, and I can't remember, it was like Black joy had not been explored, right? We hear the struggle, but we hadn't heard the joy. that we hear the businesses that are being generated, but we're not hearing the joy. And we thought it was important because it is the joy that gets them to stay in business, right? When you said defining success, like we still here. We still here. And so finding that joy, and I totally agree with you. I like the joy practice. Maybe that's something we need to implement too, because we heard that, when we talk about other than, general America, and I call it general America didn't know, they don't know our joys. They know our struggles because that's what's been published, but they didn't know our joys. And it was important to showcase the joy that we have, whether we are the founders of the company, whether we are the collaborators of a Black company, whether we're the advocate, the thought, like there's joy in it, right? Because we have to understand is not every person that we've had on here is a business owner, but there's somebody that said we wanted to collaborate with a Black business, right? And there's joy in that. And we, just making sure that that was the intersection of it all, right? And I think that's why we believe that, showcasing that joy helps to build that whole business, right? It's not just that business and what they do, but it's really the joy behind it. So I totally agree. Jamyla, this has just been a joy, literally, seriously, to have you on the show. I certainly love, just what you've created as a brand that is cruelty-free, non-toxic, but also very intentional and very thoughtful. And I just love it. And I love the evolution of it. And to know that this is a brand, guys, that is really dancing to their own beat. They're not, they've been in Target and that didn't work out for them, but to just know that they had to do it to know it, right? And I love it. So as we close, if you can just, hit your website again, share with them, with your website, your handles, so that everybody can learn more about the brand.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. And yes, you can find us all over the place at oyinhandmade.com or at Oyin Handmade on all of the socials. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time speaking with you today.
And thank you so much for being a guest. And guys, thank you all for listening to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.